As usual, check your surroundings, have as much support as you need. Okay, and if anything hurts, don't push it. Okay, just kind of walk around. Okay, so let's warm up. It's still marching on the spot. It's still trying to maybe stand a little bit taller through the spine, and a little more relaxed through the shoulders. Okay, and try to breathe more into our belly area, okay, and less through the chest. Let's just kind of march spot. Keep those things in mind. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And still continue to take the breath. Keep breathing out. We're going to look down a little bit. Sucking in the stomach slightly. Okay, and breathing in, just do the opposite, expanding our body, bring our heart up to the ceiling. Try to open up the hands and fingers as well. Okay, just repeat a couple of times, breathing out. Okay, if it feels comfortable, exaggerate motion a little bit more. Okay, but just work with the range that is pain-free for us. Okay, and really try to maybe focus on the mid-back muscles, so kind of the muscles just kind of behind the shoulder blades. Okay, around that area. Okay, and let's go back to core standing. Okay, we're just look left and right. Okay, while try to open the shoulders a little bit more. Okay, pulling both arms back. Okay, if it feels more comfortable for you, you can just kind of pop the heel, okay, or you can just stay still. Okay, but kind of look left and right. Just try to expand, try to also push our hands out a little bit. You try to separate the two hands as you open up the chest. Okay, and let's do a little bit side bending. So this one might be more comfortable for you. It's equal to maybe not move as much. Okay, but you can tilt side to side like a teapot. Okay, side bending in the neck, looking kind of tilting towards the open side. Okay, once again, see if you can almost separate the side of the elbows and the hand. Okay, and shaking out. Okay, back to a little bit more. Okay, let's open and close in slightly faster fashion. Okay, so try to open up the hand. Let's give yourself a big hug. That's one. Okay, let's go front to back. Okay, and let's go side to side, moving through the feet as well. Okay, so try to lift one heel up a little bit, curving through the legs. Okay, and let's go side to side a little bit more, so reaching upwards and towards the midline. Once again, slowly exaggerate the motion if it is pain-free for you. Deep breath in as we reach and open up the palm as well. Okay, so let's exaggerate the back a little bit. So just usual hand behind the pelvis of the back. Try to lightly, gently press your back of the hand into your pelvis or your back while trying to open up, pulling up backwards the shoulders. Take a deep breath in. Now relax. Okay, let's do 3 to 5 times. Okay, try to maintain the same kind of posture alignment for the spine. Okay, if we're able. You can slowly use a little bit more effort. So press your hand towards the back a little bit harder. Try to pull your chest open a little bit harder. And mostly just moderate effort. So you don't try as hard as you can, it's just a little bit more effort. All right, let's try to do almost the same thing, but with your hands not touching the back. So staying tall, try to reach back. Try to turn your thumb inwards as well. Maybe pause half a second to a second. But once again, don't try to go back by slouching, so you can stay tall. Just moving the arms back. Once again, if anything hurts, don't try inside, avoid that area. We're going to do the opposite. Breathe in, try to push it up. Try to imagine pressing the armpit forward. So in, drive the armpits forward. Okay, and naturally, the arms should come up a little higher. Be careful you're not overarching the back as we do this. If you're able, slowly put a little more effort. Imagine trying to cover your ear with your upper arm. Okay, so let's also open the chest a little bit more. Okay, so we're just going to try to have the arms out. Okay, I'm putting my chest, my arms here because just to remind myself that I'm not trying to turn my spine. Okay, so I'm trying to keep my spine still. Okay, and I'm just trying to reach out and back. And so a little bit of effort trying to almost imagine trying to push the shoulders forward while holding the arms back. So a little more tiring on the upper trap area. So maybe we should do 3 times. Okay, check it out. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so once again, you imagine your trunk going this way, and then your arm going the opposite direction. Okay, so once again, try to straight reach out with the arms. Okay, this time you can imagine trying to pull the trunk this way, and the arm goes the opposite way. Okay. Okay, let's go inwards this side. Okay, so we're just going to do the opposite. Imagine you're trying to turn your trunk this way, okay, and you're trying to pull your arm in the opposite direction. Okay, so you can use other hand to cue yourself just to know that I'm kind of turning this way and then pulling the opposite way. Okay, so the opposite direction. Okay, try to pull your arm, compress your arm to your chest. Okay, so holding for half a second, a second. Going back. Okay, you try to keep breathing out as you compress your arm into your chest. Okay, so out, back. Excuse me. Okay, and time for 1, 0. Okay, take it back down. Okay, same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm trying to turn my arm and almost trunk in the opposite direction. Okay, really feeling the muscles in the middle of the chest. Compressing a balloon into your chest. Okay, imagine there's some sort of maybe a watermelon or balloon on your chest between your arm, okay, and you're trying to squish it. Okay, one more time. Breathe out, breathe out. Okay, and let's shake things out a little bit. Okay, so let's just move a little bit more now. The elbows against the body and skin pushed out. Okay, so squeeze something between your elbow and your armpits. But try to really open up the fists, or open up the shoulders rather. Okay, so a little bit more effort. Try to squeeze something in the elbows, okay, but pushing out with the fists. Okay, so you can go slowly as you want, but see if you can Just a little more effort, squeeze your elbows into your chest. Okay, push. Imagine try to stretch something apart in your hands. It makes you feel like the back, the shoulder area gets a little more tensed up. Okay, the opposite. Keep trying to keep the elbows up. And just trying to imagine trying to push something down while you have this chicken wing going on. Okay, so at the beginning, just maybe do a little lighter, which I've done a little bit more gently first. Your shoulders should be kind of rotating downwards or inwards. Okay, and as you feel more comfortable, see if you can just use a little bit more effort, keeping the elbows in the same place. Okay, but you're trying to imagine pressing something down a little bit harder. Okay, your arm feels like it's rotating inwards, but once again, try not to do this. It's chest tall. You're rotating your arm. Okay, so a little more effort. Okay, on to the, let's just do the and the wrist a little bit. Okay, so let's try to turn the palm forward. Okay, hands up, opposite direction, palms down. Okay, and we're just going to repeat a couple of times first. Okay, so turn and then up or down. Okay, now try to use a little more effort. The elbow stays in place. You're trying to just really reach forward with the palms. Trying to really rotate the forearm area. Keep going down. Still trying to turn my hand as much as you can. Okay, without moving the shoulders. Okay, and go back to the beginning. So take it as far forward as I can. Okay, turn my thumb as far forward as I can. Keeping that rotation going on. Keeping my shoulder in place. Okay, and just the opposite direction a few times. Okay, so pinky up with the palms up. Okay, auto. Turn the hand, turn the forearm. Okay, check it out a little bit. Okay, and let's do more of the wrist. Okay, so we just hold the wrist. Okay, so let's just try to do as big of a circle as we can. We try to open and close the palm, fingers a little bit maybe as well. Okay, but we're trying to draw as big of a circle as we can. Okay, with the wrist, the hand, with the fingers as well. Okay, check it out. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so probably easiest, maybe 45 degrees to start with. Okay, just try to draw a couple of gentle circles first. Okay, and slowly see if you can just exaggerate the motion a little bit more. Okay, but only using the wrist, the hand, and the finger. Okay, so the other hand is on the arm is just holding our forearm in place. Okay, you don't have to go fast. See if you can exaggerate the motion a little bit more instead. Okay, so there should be a little bit of effort to just reaching towards our limits. Okay, shake out a little bit. Okay, and just go into each finger. Okay, just rotating each finger. Try to see if you can pull it towards the back of the hand a little bit more. Okay, so usually we're pretty good at here. You use a little more effort to go towards the back of the hand. Once again, don't necessarily do it fast, okay, but try to just create a bigger range. Okay, and once again, it's okay if multiple fingers move at the same time. Okay, just make sure the finger you are trying to move is actually moving. And just going through each finger, more effort towards the back of the hand. Okay, and you can just wait for the fingers, form like getting a little tight by now. Okay, and just try to see if you can once again exaggerate the bending. Okay, try to expand the fingers a couple more times. side to side times. Okay, so let's go to the lower body. Circle first. Exaggerate the circle when you feel more comfortable. Relax your upper body. Turn on more weights. Okay, so next one, you for lower body, you can grab some strength if you need. If I really start off the hinging movement, so still keeping your spine nice and long, but just pushing backwards of the hips a little bit more. Okay, so you're bending over to pick up something, but your spine long. Okay, get this. Slowly try to push it a little further back. These doesn't have to be completely straight, could be a little bit of bend, whatever is more comfortable for you. But you probably feel a little bit of stretch behind the thighs. You can just stand up so you can stand back up tall. Okay, so let's go work on the spine a little bit more. Okay, we can have a chair where you can support yourself a little bit. Could be a little high up, table even. Please make sure it's sturdy. But something that you can put just a little bit of weight on, not necessarily completely on the weight. Okay, so let's work on a little bit of the wrist first. Okay, so just the fingers on top of the chair. Okay, and see if you can just put a little bit more weight on your wrist. Okay, so really tighten the wrist area. It's not a bad idea to put a little bit of pressure on your forearms as well, since we do tend to break it more often than we do fall. Our natural instinct is to reach out and stop the flow of our hands. Okay, so sometimes it's not bad idea to just put a little bit more pressure on the bones there, just so that you're telling your body to keep those bones kind of strong, at least maintain the bone density in those areas. Okay, so just slightly rock back and forth a little bit. And if you need to, just back out, shake it off a little bit. Usually, anytime we switch position, you keep your feet moving a little bit, just to keep our blood pressure up. Okay, now we're going to work a little more on the spine. So instead of hand, you can keep the hands, fingers pointing forward if you want, or you can just kind of wrap your fingers around the chair, which is probably more comfortable on your wrist. Okay, so we're just going to exaggerate the, we can do a kind of cat and camel. Okay, so we're just going to push the back up a little bit, and then the opposite. We're trying to drop the middle of our spine to the floor, kind of lifting our tailbone up, okay, and maybe a little bit of our head, keep arching our back. Okay. And the opposite. You should like to breathe out as I'm rounding, keep breathing in, as I arch my back. Okay, just 1 or 2 more times, gently. You see if you can almost kind of, as you round your back, see if you can pull your belly button towards your spine a little bit more, breathing out. Okay, and breathing in. Just the opposite. Okay. Anytime you need to, just reset a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go on to a little bit more rotation. Okay, so we're still going to have a little better. So still think of a longer spine first. Shoulder, this is longer. Okay, so we have one hand. Like for one hand, you can reach underneath your armpits. And the opposite, where you try to drive the elbows towards the ceiling in the opposite direction. Okay, so you're kind of rotating back and forth. through. Okay, opening up that direction. Okay, slowly see if you can exaggerate it a little bit. So try to reach more towards the hips. Okay, reaching through. Let yourself, your chest kind of turn towards the chair almost. Okay, so reach up if you want. See if you can open up the chest, open up the shoulders. Okay, breathe in. Lengthen the arm. Just 3 to 5 times at your own pace. Take a break at any point. Okay, let me breathe out as I compress my body. Breathe in as I try to open up. Okay, between, maybe take a break at any point. You can also do this a little higher. So if it's too difficult for you to reach that low, you can go to maybe even the back rest. Okay, or that's where you just slightly lean forward. Okay, just still do the same thing without having to lean or bend over so much. Okay, so shifting off, okay, and then you can just repeat the same thing just on the opposite side. Okay, so find a height that works for you. So where it's kind of even up here, you can do the same thing even if you're this far up, okay, or do a little bit lower. The point is just to lock down your hips so that we are rotating more through the spine instead of through our hips. Okay, so and you can just have your kind of stretch your wrists at the same time, or just if you're using your wrists, make it complete up to you. Okay, but on the arm, you're just going to do a couple of times more gentle. You can look where you want to go if you're okay with that. Okay, some people just prefer to look forward. Okay, but generally speaking, body follows our eyes. Okay, so we want to reach or look towards where we're reaching. Still the exaggerated motion. Okay, so 45 exaggerated kind of spinal rotation. Keep the spine long though. Let's rotate. Slowly increase the effort if you want. Okay, then just sort of come back. We set up so the blood pressure will catch up. So just reach up a little bit. Okay, so let's give the spine and shoulders a little rest. Let's go back to the hips. Okay, let's do the other one, other direction rather. Okay, so back. Okay, and you're just going to lift. So we've done this one before. Lift your belt buckle up. Drive your back heel towards the ground. Okay, so feet could be as wide as you want or whatever as you want. Okay, but try not to stretch like this, which is more of a spine stretch. Okay, so you can lift the belt buckle up. Okay, drive, try to straight, almost try to straighten out the leg, drive the heel, back heel towards the ground. And we can just kind of hang out here for a little bit. And try to keep your shoulders relaxed still. If you want, you can lightly drop a little lower if you want to. But still try to pull your hip open from both sides. Okay, so driving down the heel, lifting up from the front of the pelvis. Okay, so while we're here, okay, still it's just spending more time here. Okay, left arm, my left leg is back. Move my left arm. It's the same side. Whatever side is backwards. Okay, and reach up. Okay, and kind of diagonally backwards. Okay, so reaching in and back. It's still keeping that little bit of a stretch in the hips. Feeling a little more of a stretch on the side of the trunk. So with the muscle that connects from our kind of leg and kind of up high to our spine. Okay, sometimes if you sit a lot, that tends to be a little tight as well. Okay, so 3 to 5 times. Okay, slowly come back. Okay, shake it out a little bit. Okay, and you do the same thing on the other side. We just went over it already. Okay, so we're still gonna just hang out in a slightly stretch position, a tight position. Okay, so once again, hold your hips open from the front, lifting the belt buckle up. Hold your hips open from the back, driving the heel downwards and backwards to the ground. Feel a little bit of tension in your butt muscle as well. Okay, those muscles extend the leg, which means kind of kick the leg backwards. Okay, let's hang out here for a little bit longer first. You kind of just lie forward back a few times. By keeping that tension, stretching hips. Make sure you're still breathing. Deep breaths in and out. Okay, and if you feel comfortable, see if you can add the hands now. So right leg is back. I'm using my right palm. Okay, reaching towards the midline and slightly back. We're still trying to keep that stretch going on in the hips as well. And slowly coming back. Shake things off. Might be a little stiff. Like that. Okay, so let's move the leg, just shaking the leg out a little bit. So let's just try to actually use the range that we just try to get. So it's important not just to be able to stretch it out, okay, but actually use what we have. Okay, so let's start off with just tapping the floor. Almost try to, and then try to almost stabilize with the other leg as well. So still maybe try to spread your toes open a little bit. Okay, try to almost cup the floor, the middle of the foot a little bit. Okay, so you create a stable base, a stable leg. Okay, so I don't have the leg out hanging out. Use hip muscles to bring it on everything to be kind of in line. Okay, and let's just try to slowly see if you can just swing it gently first. Okay, and we're focusing on getting move from the hip joint, okay, not kind of the back. Okay, so everything stays still more or less, except the one hip that we're trying to move. Okay, slowly see if you can, as you bring your leg back, see if you can feel your butt muscles squeezing a little bit. So try to drive the heel further back to the ground. See if you can, in the opposite direction, see if you can, as you lift the leg up, see if you can feel the front of the hip muscles engaging. Try to go a little bit further than before, but don't let it affect the rest of your body. The other hip might be getting a little tired by now. Okay, so let's shake it off. Okay, so stable through our midline, moving just from that. Okay, so once again, create a stable base through the other foot first. Okay, other hip. Okay, so just try to spread my toes a little bit, trying to lightly almost cup the floor of my foot. Okay, I'm trying to engage my hip muscles to bring everything more stacked on top of each other. Okay, so that I can be still through my trunk. Okay, while I'm moving that one hip or one leg. Of course, use it for support. Okay, and you can below see just take a range. Okay, once again, see if you can feel the body, the trunk being still, okay, and just moving through the hips. Okay, slowly see if you can just focus on one end. Okay, so I'm trying to kick back a little bit. Trying to feel my hip muscle, my butt muscles tighten to almost try to drive the heel further back, a little bit higher up. Okay, but I'm trying to do this without feeling I'm doing something like that. So stay still through the spine. Okay, while I'm open hips. Okay, and in the opposite direction, see if you can try to lift a little higher up. Okay, without rounding your back. Okay, the stabilizing hip might be getting a little bit high by now. Just 1 or 2 more seconds. Okay, shake things off. Okay, so we'll give that a little bit of a break first. Okay, let's go back to our squatting. Actually, let's go to upper body. Let's skip on lower body first. Okay, so let's just do a gentle neck circle first. Okay, so you can focus on your nose or focus on your chin. Okay, see if you can just draw a circle all the way around. Okay, as you look up, just bring your chest up a little higher. So we're not over cranking the neck joint. So on top to the ceiling as you look up. Okay, if you don't have osteoporosis, if you don't have neck problem, so just expand the circle a little bit. So the goal is not to do a fast circle or just try to do a full. So I'm trying to reach downwards a little bit, reach to the side. Okay, but what is fine. Definitely don't try too hard. Okay, just a light effort. Just have moderate. Okay, same thing on the top. Okay, you can either cross your arms, or if you need to, still holding the chair. Okay, then focus on some point within the chest bone. Okay, so you're just going to bring the middle of your chest bone area, or the crossing your hands downwards a little bit. Okay, and same idea. We're just trying to draw a full circle, pressing that the chest bone out to the ceiling, or pressing the X upwards. Okay, just be more aware of what is moving. Okay, sometimes when we're tight, we tend to just use hips a little bit more. Okay, so again, just light effort. Again, and more just light medium effort. Okay, let's also do an arm circle as well. Whenever you're ready. Okay, so same like this before, kind of stabilize. Kind of similar idea to the leg. Let's see if you can stabilize through the trunk. Okay, and we're just trying to move that one shoulder. Okay, so you can see me lightly straight out, lightly push the floor apart, okay, and lightly squeezing the opposite side. Okay, so everything kind of stays still, okay, except that one arm we're trying to move. Okay, so I'm compressing my arm into my chest. I'm not rotating my body. I'm trying to keep everything in the same place. Okay, and I'm trying to pull to my face towards my ears. Thumb is facing backwards. Okay, as the hand goes back, your thumb rotates down. Okay, I'm still trying to rotate. My thumb is facing down, trying to reach backwards. Okay, dropping my shoulders down, reaching towards the floor. Okay, opposite direction, so reach back. Your thumb starts to rotate out. Trying to reach back while keeping the chest centered forward. Okay, everything's still except that one arm. Okay, pinky is facing forward, thumb is facing back. My arm is kind of covering my ear. Hold my upper arm to my face, towards my chest. Okay, shoulders drops down. Okay, so maybe just 1 or 2 more times at your own pace. Okay, but you're trying to draw inside the circle. Okay, so it doesn't matter how big the circle is. Could be if you have limited range, that's okay. You just kind of reach towards your own limits, okay, and don't go to pain. So it could be a little bit, could be uncomfortable, but if it's painful, just try and drop. Okay, so usually for exercises, we generally work around the pain. That's a physiotherapist told us to do some exercise that may be a little painful, but necessary. But if it's pain, go see a physiotherapist. And shake your arms whenever you want. And when you're ready, just the same thing. Okay, but be a little tense when you be tense. Okay, well, we're not exercising that. Relax as much as you can. Okay, so have an on and off switch. Okay, don't get stuck in between. Okay, so just trying to stabilize the rest of the body. Just being more aware of what my trunk is doing. Okay, and for the first one, maybe I'll just take it a little bit easier. Once again, thumb rotates downwards a little bit, aside, back. Thumb rotates up, aside, up. Okay, slowly, I'm going to try a little bit more effort. So I'm trying a little bit harder to compress my arm into my chest. Try to pull my arm into my face. Try to cover my ear with my arm. Try to reach a little further backwards, but just, of course, adjust the intensity. Dropping my shoulders there. So I'm going to try to reach to whatever range of motion I have. You can also focus on the elbows instead. So if you're a little bit tighter, you can just imagine trying to keep your elbows in, elbows up, elbows out to the side, elbows down. So you can also just focus on your elbows instead. Okay, and once again, if you don't need to be tense, then let go. Okay, let's go back to the leg. Okay, let's go into our squatting pattern. That's the sitting up and down pattern. Okay, it's a basic movement that we do every day. Okay, so let's practice a little bit. Okay, so legs, shoulder, armpit width apart, toes pointing out slightly, still hinging for the hips, but bend the knees a little bit. Okay, so still bending from the hips, but knees bend a little bit more than before. Okay, I'm just going back and forth. Okay, knees should be tracking over the foot or the feet. Okay, so it should be just hovering on top, so everything is stacked on top. Your knees should be stacked on top of your foot. Okay, and only you can slowly exaggerate the motion if you want to, if it's comfortable for you, or if it's not painful for your knees. Your knees is going to travel a little bit more forward. The lower you go, the knees do have to go a little more forward. Otherwise, you're just going to fall back. Okay, so your knees do have to go a little more forward. If you go really low, it has to be kind of in front of your toes as well. Okay, so it kind of depends on how low you're going. Okay, but still try to lengthen through the spine. Try to set up tall afterwards. Okay, and get this out a little bit. Okay, let's go back to the hips. Okay, we're still focus a little more on being to kick it up, and also kicking it backwards as well. Okay, so let's stretch the back of the hips, back of the thighs a little bit more again. Okay, so we can use the chair again or use the desk. Okay, but we're just going to once again hinge over a little bit. Okay, and for most people, unless you're really mobile, see if you can just kind of almost pump the heel, try to shift the hips back while kind of keeping one foot completely straight. You can kind of alternate between the two sides. So for most people, you probably feel a little bit of stretch. If you don't, you know, of course, try to push your hips a little further back. Yeah, you feel kind of stretch behind. If it's too much, just kind of get a little higher up. Okay, or just don't push hips as much. Okay, and sort them up. Reach a little bit. Okay, so once again, we want to be able to actually use the range we just try to get. So we go back to lifting the leg upwards. Okay, so before we were trying to pull the hips back, again, that faster hip. Now we're trying to do the opposite, where we try to lift so imagine if I'm here and I stand up. Ideally, I should have the range that I have, but usually we don't have control. So even though our legs, if someone lifts my leg up, I might be able to go a little higher. But if someone don't hold it up, my leg drops because I cannot hold myself into that position. Okay, so we're going to try to do that a little bit. So we'll try to pull a leg up without kind of swinging the trunk around. Okay, so still stabilize through one leg. Okay, so straight toes a little bit, cup your foot. Okay, pull your hips in a little bit so that it's stacked on top of each other. Okay, so you can even lightly press down on the chair, lightly squeeze the free hand, okay, keeping the trunk tall. You can see you can just lift the leg up while staying tall. Okay, so let's do maybe about 5 times. Okay, so the first time would be just light effort. Second time, see if you can use a little more effort to lift the leg up. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so front of the hips, probably a little tense. There's something probably I should work on a little bit more as well. Okay, so if I try to lift the leg up like this, if something is holding my leg up, I can go somewhere to this height. Okay, but if I don't have something holding it up, I can only lift to about there. Okay, so even though my leg can go further, I cannot use that range. Okay, so it means it's not a very useful range in a sense. Okay, so ideally, what we can use is the same as what we have. Okay, so don't actually try to use that to lift the leg, just a demonstration that my leg can go further than what I can lift myself. So if I use both arms, I can probably go somewhere here. If I drop it, it only goes to about there. Okay, so I need to work on control a little bit more. Okay, so mobility is not just flexibility, it's just also what we can control. Okay, so let's try the same thing on the other leg. Okay, so make sure it's still relax when you need, can be relaxed. Okay, slowly tense up a little bit, so stabilize through the other foot, through the hip. Okay, I'm just going to slightly squeeze my hand. You can use anything for more support. Okay, so start off a little bit more gentle, lighter effort. Slowly see if you can a little bit more effort to lift the leg up a little higher, okay, while compensating through the other parts of the body. Okay, but don't go maximum effort. It is an what we call an isometric contraction, which means we're squeezing multiple body parts at the same time while moving much. That can get our blood pressure a little bit higher up. So don't go full force. Okay. And relax. We don't need to be tense. Okay, so we're almost out of time. So let's just kind of shake things off a little bit. Okay, let's sit down a little bit. Since we've been sitting for a while. Okay, a couple deep breaths out for us. Okay, let's just finish off the knees and the ankles. Okay, so let's keep it simple. Let's just kind of just extend, bend the knees a few times. Okay, and let's just rotate our ankles a little bit. Once again, if you want, you can hold the leg in place. Don't have to do a fast circle, but see if you can draw a bigger circle. So we try to reach towards your own limits a little more. So a little more effort all the way around. And just move the toes a little bit. Lift the toes off the ground. Scratch the floor. And see if you can just move your big toe. Draw a circle to your big toe if you can. The opposite. Okay, big toe on the ground. Let's see if you can lift your other toes. Spread them out. Press them towards the floor. Okay, so then lastly, let's just try to reset a little bit. So we're just going to be lightly leaning forward. Let's just take a big breath in. So breathe into our belly area. Okay, as you breathe out, you can lightly squeeze your belly button towards the spine, so sucking it in a little bit. Okay, so full breath in. Make yourself a little bit taller. As you take a breath in, take a breath out. Hold your belly button in, this time holding for a little bit longer. And try to relax. So try to, after you let go, see if you can completely relax. Just let your belly kind of open, drop back out by itself. Okay, so this time hold for, let's try 3 seconds. So breathe out, sucking us up in. Okay, holding for 3, 2, 1. Let go completely. Five, 3, 2, 1. Okay, shaking out shoulders, relax shoulders a bit. Okay, so that's all the time we have. So thank you for coming, everyone. See you next time. You too.